The iconic Winchester Model 1873 in 357 Magnum from Taylor & Company.
Well, you guys know that I'm basically a handgun guy. And while I appreciate and enjoy long guns and constantly want to expand my skill and experience with them, I am by no means an expert on rifles and carbines. But I did grow up in America, that once great nation that occupied much of this continent. And while I was growing up, the most iconic gun that I remember was the Winchester model of 1873, known as the Winchester repeating rifle. It's come to be known as the gun that won the West, for good reason. It's likely appeared in more cowboy movies than any other rifle. It was produced up until the early 1920s, nearly 750,000 of them were made. There's even a classic movie starring Jimmy Stewart titled Winchester 73. That puts it in the stratosphere of firearm fame. And yet, all these many years of shooting and being a gun enthusiast, I had never shot one. Originals can still be found, and late originals can be had for decent prices if you shop wisely. But if your passion lies in the enjoyment of shooting, more so than collecting, and you prefer modern ammunition over period proper cartridges, then you might consider a brand new replica gun. I know the word replica sometimes implies poor quality or substandard performance or even a for display only type of connotation. That's not at all the case here. Taylor & Company provides some of the finest quality replica guns in the world at fair market prices. They were kind enough to send this 1873 chambered in 357 Magnum to me so that I could share it with you. This gun is made in Italy by Uberti, a world-renowned manufacturer of period authentic reproductions that are not only aesthetically accurate, but fully functional guns. When I say aesthetically accurate, I'm not doing justice to this piece at all. This copy of the Winchester Model 1873 is simply exquisite.
Of course, if it's chambered in 357 Magnum, you know what that means. It means you can also shoot 38 Special, which is not only lighter and softer, but more economical as well. Let's try some rounds on a target. My first attempt at some accuracy here. Trying to find my sight picture. I know I'm putting them high, but
Well, as I already said, I'm no expert about this gun, just an admirer. But I'm lucky enough to know an expert, maybe the expert, Ashley Hlubinski. She's the Robert W. Woodruff Curator of the Cody Firearms Museum and president of the Gun Code, LLC, through which she lectures, writes, serves as an expert witness, and appears on documentaries. She can tell you a lot more than I can about why the 1873 is called the gun that won the West.
When people hear the expression gun that won the West, they usually think of either a Colt Model 1873 revolver or a Winchester Model 1873 rifle. And while the two brands are basically synonymous with American Western mythology, the expression itself had little to do with mass migration into the frontier in the late 19th century. And it had a heck of a lot more to do with worldwide global conflict. At the beginning of World War I, American arms makers were ill-equipped to supply munitions to the world. And while we didn't get involved until 1917, those arms manufacturers did. And so they did a lot, including making other facilities so that they could produce the level of ammunition and firearms that were needed for this war. And Winchester was one of those companies. And by the end of the war, they had finally realized Oliver Winchester's dream of becoming a military manufacturer, but they had all of this capacity and none of the contracts. And Winchester, a lot of times people talk about the fact that they then diversified, they made tools, they made figure skates, rollerblades, even ventured into refrigerators. But another thing that they did, which was to throw back a look at the nostalgic image of the American West, the mythological image of the American West. And a guy named Edwin Pugsley, who would later go on to be the executive vice president of Winchester and a very important person in Winchester history, coined the term "gun that won the West" for an international marketing campaign in 1919. And I would say that it was pretty successful, since pretty much anyone who knows barely anything about Western movies associates the Winchester as the gun that won the West. And so while the expression didn't come about in the actual West, it came about to supply a need or a want for the consumer, it is something that Winchester got the jump start on, and they've done an incredible job throughout the different companies that use the name Winchester, marketing that concept even till today.
All right, putting them a little high. Let me see if I can settle into a sight picture here. There we go. I think I've got it.
The stock is a well-finished and checkered walnut with a deep reddish color to it. The octagonal barrel and magazine tube are a deep blue finish, and these are in sharp contrast to the beautiful, multicolored, case-hardened receiver. The carrier block is still the traditional brass and adds that final touch to the look of the rifle. Taylor's & Company offers the Model 1873 in a variety of configurations: barrel length, stock style, finishes, and of course calibers. This piece is a 20-inch octagonal barrel with pistol grip stock, and it's chambered in .357 Magnum. That was not an original caliber to the rifle, of course, since nearly a century separates their respective inventions, but it's a fantastic choice for a fun and practical lever gun that can be both fun and sporty with the .38 special loads, or accurate and deadly with the .357 Magnums. The sights are also true to the original Winchester design and are a buckhorn style. My feeble eyes struggle with them at any great distance, but once you get used to the sight picture, it's very quickly acquired and easy to hold on target. When I first started shooting this gun, I wasn't using the sights correctly at all, but I figured it out soon enough. We can see why this would have been a sharpshooter's dream back in the day. I shot some groups just inside 30 yards, about 28 to be exact, where I felt comfortable that I wouldn't do the rifle any injustice. And I was impressed with not just the resulting groups, but how easy it was to hold a good aim. No wonder this gun won the West. Unless you desire an original antique for collection purposes, I would recommend this high-quality, newly manufactured 1873 from Taylor's & Company, made by the craftsmen at Uberti. This really is a gun that should be in every collection, no less so than a good 1911 pistol or a good Smith & Wesson revolver. I think it represents a turning point in firearms technology, a period when your rifle was more important to you than our smartphones are to us today, and it just screams Americana. Aside from that, it's just tons of fun to shoot.